one. Welcome to the Chicago Breeze. Bulls Breeze, baby. Hey man, listen.
So what? You didn't mess the show up and everything.
Hey, listen. They get it. They know what they get when they see us both on the screen. Hey, listen, Chicago Bulls news, rumors, all of that. Listen, all we want to talk about right now is Fred VanVleet, not Fleet, VanVleet. My man opts out of his contract or his deal. He's decided to hit the free agency market. He's been tied to us simply because DeMar DeRozan is here and that relationship there. We're gonna break that down. Plus so Dejounte, how do you pronounce that man's name?
Dejounte.
Dejounte, yeah,
Yes.
okay, there we go. See, it's
Dejounte.
public school. Anyway, listen, this is your boy P Kid. It's a man, myth, the legend, right here. Pat the designer. Again, tip take. We're gonna do this again. We have like so many good ones. But
I don't think this is a bad one, so I'm with it.
but Pat, man, talk to me, man. Talk to me. We got to talk about it. Fred VanVleet. Good, bad, ugly. What you like about it? You think we should be in on him?
I mean, Fred's an interesting player. I guess he fits a need. He's a good point guard at a minimum. I think they got him out there in Toronto and they asked him to be the number one scoring option. I just don't think that that's Fred. Realistically, I don't think that that's who Fred is. I think Fred's a good point guard that can score the basketball. All of a sudden, they said that we need you to go out there and be, Steph Curry. Fred starts chucking it up. Now all of a sudden, don't nobody want Fred VanVleet. I would be mad at Fred VanVleet to Chicago, but I think the thing is, right, I start to look at the team defensively and I start to say, okay, well, if I have this point guard here who's going to struggle defensively because of the size, and I have my shooting guard who, yeah, he's playing better defensively, but by no means in the world is Zach LaVine a clamp. I start to look at backcourt defense, and to me, that team is very much it's funny enough that we're going to talk about Dejounte Murray later, but like it would be what Atlanta was last season to me. And I'm not
I see that.
I'm not over the moon on that pairing. I'm not over the moon on guys that are, we're going to go out there, we're going to chuck this ball up, and then we're going to try our best on the defensive end. I like to know the guys are a little. I would like to know that, one, there's a little more size in my backcourt, and two, there's a couple of guys back there that at least are going to have the ability to play on the defensive end. And I just don't see that with Fred VanVleet coming to Chicago.
I'm with you on the fact that I don't think it's a good fit, and it's not even anything to do with. I know that the relationship with him and DeMar is there. Synergies is everything when it comes to those parents. I get that. My biggest thing is honestly just efficiency. I've been really big on efficiency from a point guard perspective. And if you look at Fred VanVleet, efficiency and Fred VanVleet don't go in the same sentence, baby. It just don't. There's nothing about him statistically that shows me that he should have been or would be a viable option for the money that he's going to cost versus developing a younger point. I don't know why for the point guard position we don't empower our guards or our combo guards or people who played that position in college and just give them the real opportunity to run the offense and things of that nature. Because if I'm going to sit there and pay someone nearly $20 million to shoot 40% from the field and 35% from three, I might as well give Io the ball and give him more shots because Io is actually statistically more efficient. Now I know stats don't mean everything, but Io is also a better defender. I think he's even taller than Fred. Yeah, oh, he's definitely taller
He's
than Fred
definitely
VanVleet.
taller. Fred's not tall. Fred's 6 foot on paper.
Right? So that would be it. And then I also got Kobe White, who again, if I give him, he's obviously working on his game. We see all the stuff he's doing with dribble too much. By the way, shout out to him because he got some drills out there that's cold. But he's getting NBA players right. I might as well give him the opportunity. If I'm talking about somebody who's going to shoot 35% from the field, I mean from three, which Kobe's about 36, 37, and have poor efficiency or under 45%, which Kobe White has always been. Now I know that's not the sexy answer. I know people don't really like that, but it's like, hey, listen, I don't want to sit there and spend 15 or 20 million a year on someone just because they won a championship. They were part of a championship team. But that don't necessarily mean like there's a lot more that's insulated those flaws that he has that I don't think will be covered in the Chicago Bulls uniform. That's just my take on that one. I've never been a big fan of him from that perspective.
Well, I think the biggest question is, what is he going to be as the number 3 option on the team, possibly the number 4 option on the team, right? You're bringing Fred here not to be your number 1 guy, maybe the number 3 guy at a certain point, but Zach LaVine going into next season needs to be your penciled in number 1 offensive option. That means number 2 is probably going to be DeMar if we keep him around, and or Nikola Vucevic. Somewhere in there, they're going to fall in 2 or 3. That means that VanVleet coming into this season right now is probably your 4th offensive option. Maybe that does get him some offensive opportunity. But this is one reason I think that he's probably not a shoe-in to come here, because does he want to be just the point guard kind of point guard? I mean, listen, playing for a team that I don't really think. I think Fred has said this. I don't think he grew up rooting for the Bulls. He did grow up in Rockford, but I don't think he grew up rooting for the Bulls. Um, and I mean, like, it's not like this is his like childhood love team, right? Like, he grew up at a time. Me and Fred was in high school at the same time, right? Like, Derrick Rose was cold. The Bulls, most of our
Mhm.
time growing up, though, were a very fight hard, try hard kind of team that just didn't get the job done. So a lot of Chicagoans that grew up at that time didn't get that same love for the Bulls that I ended up having. But the one thing that I like about Fred is last season, 7 assists, 1.8 steals per game, almost 2 steals a game. That means that he's able to play the passing lanes a little bit night in and night out, but he's got to into facilitating offense. That's what we wanted liners at a much higher level. And 6'6".
You
But
back now.
is it better? I don't know what the heck's happening with the internet. I think it gives you the what you wanted from Lonzo Ball. Apparently, and you're moving the ball well, but I think it also at the same time is a very big difference from a dude that is 6'1" to a dude that is 6'6".
True. Let me ask you this though. And
Six
in fact,
one, by the way. 6'1".
6'1", 6'1".
Heavy quotations on that 6'1", bro. I'm not buying it, bro. They got this man. First off, here's the thing. Here's why I'm not buying it. So Fred played against North Chicago I think in a tournament. Somewhere they were at, I went. I seen Fred up close. Fred ain't grown that much since high school. I was taller than Fred in high school. 6'1".
Hey,
It's a
dog.
lot of soul in them shoes, dog. It's a lot of soul in them shoes.
He was 6'1", fully wrapped up with the shoes on. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. Hey, they probably added about an inch or two. You know, hey, listen,
Hey,
that's a good
that
move
man,
right there.
that
You-
man was playing in Jordan 6s if he was 6'1" in them eyes, bro.
Man had the weak tears with the double soaps. Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do out here in these NBA streets, baby. My biggest thing is my biggest thing with him is honestly just the price point. Like
Yeah.
everything you're saying is spot on, but let's be real. Fred is first. I just want to clarify this. I like Fred as a player. I like what he's done and things of that nature. But I'm also comparing it to what our current situation is, what the rhetoric has been in the current Chicago Bulls organization, what we have already, and I would love to see us actually develop someone it's already here for that
Yeah.
particular role. I think that's the best thing. That's the one thing that I give Billy Donovan credit for. He's helped develop some young talent. Now, I ain't saying he won with that talent, but I'm saying, he's had 3 MVPs under his tutelage at one point who they made one particular shift and then they won MVP. Like realistically, Kevin Durant from leaving OKC. I have Kevin Durant won MVP at OKC.
He
Uh
won in OKC, yeah.
Russell West
That's under Scott
that's
Brooks,
under
though.
Scott Brooks, though.
That's under
Yeah.
Scott Brooks, though.
I think Russ won with Scott
Russ won MVP with
Billy.
Billy Donovan, yeah.
Um
Russ won with Billy Donovan.
so Russ's best years were with Billy. Paul George best year was with Billy and Russ. So I mean that matters. I'm not gonna sit there exclude that.
And Russ.
And Russ. I think James Harden, he didn't have James Harden.
MVP is with Russ.
MVP is his Russ. Let me reel that back a little bit then.
I'm just throwing all my MVPs out there to Russ as well.
this,
No, you know what it is? It's Billy. Billy's one of those guys where he can take a point guard, and if the point guard runs his system the way that Billy wants to run it, then the point guard can be very successful. I take a Dennis Schroeder into account with
there
that,
we
right?
go.
Dennis Schroeder's best numbers are with Billy Donovan, but there's a lot of times where, right, like sometimes you're just too tied to your system, and when you're too tied to your system, that's my main gripe with Billy Donovan. When you're too tied to your system, it takes away from what your the freedom that your players have, the ability to go out there and make plays, and the ability to go out there and adjust. But I do think that a guy like Fred VanVleet would be able to take a nice step. I don't know about maybe efficiency wise, because he'd be shooting less, probably. So maybe efficiency wise, he'd be able to take a little bit of a step there as well. But at a minimum, I mean, and here's the funny thing about it, right? As much as we can say about what the Bulls have been, whatever player comes here, you can absolutely say they have not played with a player as good as that. Fred may be a little different, probably since because he played with Kawhi Leonard. I think he was on that off the bench on that championship team, right?
He
Um,
was starting.
no, Kyle
No,
Lowry was their
Kyle was
starting
not
point
start.
guard.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
Kyle Lowry was their starting point
You're
guard.
right.
But I think that right, like since he's been the starter, there's no player on that team that's better than Zach LaVine. There's maybe Jakob Poeltl was up there with Vooch, but there's not this like, oh my God, this big is leaps and bounds better than Nikola Vucevic. So he'd be playing with some really good talent here.
I guess that depends on where you put Pascal Siakam.
A guy. I mean, I love that we like to throw. I love that we like to throw Pascal, and he's like, "Oh my God, he's a dominant player" category, and I think the Pascal absolutely can ball, but
20.
is he leaps and bounds better than what Zach LaVine can be
I don't think
and
he's
has been?
no, not definitely not leaps and bounds better. I'm not going to even go that far, but I mean Pascal Siakam is statistically in the same realm as probably spot on. It's 24 and 7, 24 and 8, 24 8 and 5. Well, 24 8 and 6. It's 7.8, 5.8. So I'm gonna give him 24 8 and 6.
24, 8, and 6.
What's Zach last year?
Zach last year had a down season. It's probably right around that same range. Let's see. Let's look at them Levine numbers here. Stats.
24.
Zach LaVine last season was 24, 4-4. And
I mean
2021, when he probably had his last healthy season, right? Last two seasons he'd be 24. Last two seasons he's been 24, 4-4. Season before that, 2021, 27, 5-4.
for the most part, he's had one breakout season at 27 points a game, which again, I'm not holding
Yeah.
it against Zach. We all know what the story was. But if you want to sit there and be honest, I mean, I would say Zach is leaps and bounds better production wise because you just didn't see it. Now, does he have the potential to? I would say, yeah, he has a potential to be a better player than Pascal.
Yeah.
But also, we don't know. We can't really confirm that because I mean, think about it. They all had how many people had the Greek freak being what he is today? Not many people. So, I mean,
I don't think Pascal's bad. I just think, I think in the grand scheme of things with Pascal, I don't feel like Pascal contributes to. I guess I can say the same thing about Zach. I was going to say contributes to winning a ton, but
yeah,
realistically, I guess I can say maybe him and Zach are the same player. I don't know because and maybe Fred doesn't make Zach better, but I think the one thing that we can say is we've seen the best of Zach when he's had that point guard next to him.
that's a fact.
Right? Finishes off the season 26 plus points per game, assisting more, different things like that. Like I think that the reason we're having this conversation is because I could look at a guy like Fred and say, with how he facilitates and how he draws people away from Zach LaVine, because you can't just leave him, right? He's a good enough shooter that you do have to guard him. How he draws people away from Zach LaVine. How does that make Zach LaVine better?
It's just a younger Kyle Lowry.
Nah, Kyle Lowry like 6'3", 6'4", ain't he?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, no one has really looked at Kyle Lowry like, "Ooh, I need that guy." Like, Kyle Lowry has always just been there, and he's been like mid.
I am wrong. Kyle Lowry is 6 foot even. Kyle Lowry is taller than Fred VanVleet. Hey, bro, I'm not buying it. Okay,
I don't know about that one. But like,
that's 6 foot even.
He's just a younger Kyle Lowry. So it's like if you would look
I can
at
see
Kyle Lowry as in his prime and say and was like struggling to see him in a Bulls jersey, I look at Fred the same way.
Yeah,
that's just.
I'm not
me.
mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I've never liked Kyle Lowry either, so y'all know how I am on that. I've never liked it. I've never thought this dude was like. You want to talk about somebody making their name on coattails?
That's definitely
riding them mugs.
that's definitely what he is. But hey, y'all, we
You
want
want
to
to
hear
talk
y'all
about a
thoughts,
bus
man.
rider?
We want to hear your thoughts, man. Would you want to see Fred in a Bulls jersey? You want us to take a look at him there? Because at this point, I mean, I'm not saying no, but I'm definitely not saying yeah. So yeah, moving on, man. We got to get to the one that everybody else is actually talking about, Dejounte Murray. And I've been wrong on DJ. Like I like DJ. I like what he does. I like what he brings to the table. Pat put me on game as to what he actually did with the Spurs. I took a second look at it. My man was out there dotting people up. And he was out there balling. What
Yeah.
do you think? I know you've had this moment with Hayes. I know you've had this on a couple other platforms, but on your own platform, what you think about DJ, us making a move for him? Would you take a 1-year rental on him? What's the deal with it?
I think there's two things that you got to look at with Dejounte Murray. To me, when I look at Dejounte Murray, one, there's the friendship aspect of this, right?
Mhm.
Him and Zach are boys. They've been boys for a minute. I believe Zach might be a year or two older than Dejounte. Maybe Dejounte's 26, Zach is 28, but I believe both their birthdays are late. So they're about 2 years apart. Um, so basically, right, like Zach LaVine has played in a ton of pro-am games, a ton of stuff that's going on around Seattle. Both of them, again, grew up in the same area in Seattle. So I think that right, like there's a connection that is already there. I look at that like the Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart type thing. Now, they didn't both go to the same college. They didn't play together in college, but realistically, having that relationship built up of that's my boy, you my guy, we gonna do this together, blah blah blah. I think that does two things for the Bulls. One, it opens up an opportunity if you want to trade away DeMar DeRozan because there is that relationship built up. You would have your second scorer if you wanted that. You can go that route, get some more assets, get some more role players in
Yeah.
there. However you want to do that. The other thing for me is that Dejounte Murray, like I said, with the Spurs, fits a perfect need for the Chicago Bulls. And I think, again, this is about roles being played. One, to me, Dejounte Murray with the Spurs was what we hoped Lonzo Ball could turn himself into if healthy, and what we kind of saw
That's a
him
fact.
start to turn himself into a great facilitator. I mean, he was one of the top 10 passers in the NBA that season, moved the ball really well, an excellent defender. Dejounte Murray, people forget this man is 6'5. He got a 6'10 wingspan. That's an AK prototypical player, by the way. You know, AK love anybody with a wingspan is 7 inches longer than the height. He got 5 inches. Pause. It's whew. That's tough.
Hmm.
That's almost as bad as
Zion Williamson and
Porn
porn
star.
stars.
I'm just saying it's tough out here. But no, I just think at the end of the day, DeJounte is a perfect fit for what the Bulls want to do. To me, the question is, do you wait a year and see how strong the relationship of Zach LaVine is? And again, this is just the Hawks going out there and saying, we're listening to calls. It's not saying that they're done, but DeJounte on his last year could possibly want out of there because I don't think Atlanta works. I just don't.
No, it don't.
I think that there's enough factors there where the only question you're asking is it worth it to go all in this year and not risk it? Or do you wait until he's possibly a free agent and see if you can hold on to all your assets and then go get him?
One, I'm actually going to risk it this year. I think Demar is on with Demar being on an expiring contract. I've actually made videos about this. It's not that he's not a good player. It's a simple fact that he's on the last year of his particular deal. I don't see them re-upping him at 33, 30, 34, 35. I don't see them re-upping him. He's 34. I don't think they re-up him or necessarily because you do have too many cases of redundancy at the same position. You see it in Boston. You see how that needs to be broken up. We've seen it before. In certain points, you kind of see it in LA when you see Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. I don't care what nobody says. When I see Paul George healthy with a good team out there with him, he looks like he should be leading the Clippers by himself many times. I've said that plenty of times. I stand on that. Paul George is one of my favorite players as well.
I care what Paul George said. Paul George said it ain't enough. It ain't too many players that can do what Kawhi can do.
I do give it. I get them that.
He said this man came back rusty and put up 25.
I do give him that. I'm not gonna say Kawhi Leonard isn't who he is. Like he's
Yeah.
a stud. But when we talk about how it impacts other people around him, Kawhi Leonard now is at that point where he's going out and he's like, yo, I'm going out, I'm taking this shot. You ain't nothing you could do about it. I'm solid, whatever, when he's healthy. But when you see him and Paul George, it's like, all
Yeah.
right, it works. But I've seen the game flow so much better with just Paul George out there, just what he does. And
Paul gets the team involved more.
there you go. Talk to me. So for me, that's what Zach does. Zach, when it's just him out there, he's rolling with Vooch and stuff like that. It flows a little better. I'm not saying it equates to more wins because that's the part that we figuring out. His health has been up and down. Billy has been stuck on stupid at times. Like we've had that moment. Yeah, I said it. But
You're not wrong.
hey, so I like we haven't seen too much of it because we've been stuck on that, and I just would love to see Zach get freed up a little bit. Now having DJ, if we get DJ from the aspect of him being what he was in the Spurs uniform, and I look back at that, my man almost averaged a triple double.
Yeah,
he did exactly what we wanted Lonzo to do. He was putting people in the right position. He was rebounding. He was actually getting the ball out quick, and he was scoring when they needed a bucket. That's exactly what we wanted Lonzo to do, and unfortunately, he's not here. So I would love to see us have a dynamic guard, what a dynamic point guard who has that mentality with Zach, who I think should be the designated scorer, who can run that game with pick and roll with Vooch as well. I think that's the best lineup as opposed to having another half court back to the basket player who kind of slows down that pace. And DeMar, it's not saying that it's bad. I can see DeMar on a totally different team. Like DeMar in a Warriors jersey would fit. He'd be a much better Livingston for them because that's what Sean Livingston did for him. Sat there, got those buckets. He'd be a much better version of that. They'd probably win a championship. I'm not hating on DeMar. I'm just saying for what we need and where we're going in the future, going younger, getting that type of combo guard would do wonders. And that's what I would be looking for.
Hey, they said it's a rebuild in place. So, I mean, they said that today. They said everybody's available except Stephen Curry.
Hey, you know what? Even still, like, there's so many people who I would actually trade DeMar for simply because he deserves the opportunity at a ring. I do think he deserves an opportunity, not to be a part of a rebuild or retool. And Warriors would make sense. Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, like, well, no, Andrew Wiggins is just a younger version of him. But like, there's some other pieces I would do for. I would even be willing to give up Patrick Williams for Dejounte.
Well, I think the package you're probably looking at for Dejounte Murray, you're probably talking about P. Will, AC, and probably at a minimum one for sure draft pick. So probably 2028 and/or 2029, and you might have to include the Portland pick as well. They gave up 3 first-round picks for him. Going after him this season, you're gonna have to give up the bag for him. And you're more than likely doing that with a contract extension being signed, being a part of the deal. So you're going to have to match the money on whatever that is as well. So I think that there's a lot of factors that play into that.
Yeah, we ain't got the money for all that.
We ain't
even got the picks.
Well, you have to trade future picks. You'd have to trade 2028, I believe. Either that or 29, one of them. But the problem is, right, because we don't have our pick in 25 because that goes to the Spurs off of the Vooch trade. So I just think that there's a lot of, as much as I would love to see him this season, this ain't a this season fix. And this is what I want Bulls fans to understand. Dejounte the Chicago Bulls plan got thrown off when Lonzo didn't come back. They really believed he was coming back.
Yeah.
They put him on the calendar.
Yeah.
They really believed he was going to come back. Lonzo not coming back set you back tremendously. And so now you're trying to kind of scramble. And so you can do one of two things, right? You can panic and give up everything and go get this guy this year, or you can see how strong the friendship really is with Zach LaVine and hope for the best in free agent while keeping all of your pieces. That to me is going to be a make or break move for our GM. And there's a lot of people that, listen, if he goes the long-term route, I'll understand it, and I will also understand that there will be a lot of people that will be pissed off that he went the long-term route. I fully expect the Bulls to run it back with Kobe at point. Like I 100%, because the NBA, I know everybody's been watching this on Twitter. The NBA was so weird this year. You really don't know anything. The Heat are in the finals. The next best player on the court right now is Matt Strus, who got 2 points so far in the finals.
He's 1 of 24.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just like it's tough to sit here and make a oh my God, you have to go get this guy's statement. When to me, I believe there is a real opportunity for the Bulls to be able to go out there and get him when DeMar's money comes off the books, when Lonzo's money is off of the books. That's in 2 years.
I don't think DJ is going to be around for that. And then, too, I think the one thing you have to keep in mind is the star that you signed, Zach LaVine, who I think is a real piece you build around. Does he wait it out with you? Just because he signed that contract, the NBA is weird. Players who've signed recent contracts, even with the new CB, I think at year 2, they could sit there and say, "Hey, listen, go ahead, let me rotate." And
I think
Zach
likes being the one.
There's a lot of situations in which he could still be the one.
There's a lot of but does he want to go there?
And you got to think about like this:
are they situations with talent that he wants to go to though?
Hey, Zach could go to Atlanta and be the one.
Probably not, because of the politics there.
Over who? Because Trae Young is projected to be out of there.
Trae staying. That's why they're gonna move on from Dejounte. Trae staying.
I don't think so. I think Trae's out.
I don't know. That would be interesting.
Trae Young is one of those players that you actually have to like insulate so much, and he doesn't help that team the way they're constructed. And they flipped this roster so many times, you probably move on from him.
That'd be weird to do when you just got a new coach, though. Like you would think you want to give him a shot running with Trae. You would think you want to give Quinn Snyder a shot running with Trae and Dejounte Murray, but I don't know, man. Atlanta's a weird team. I told y'all coming into this season, I told y'all 2 years in a row, Atlanta got to prove it to me. Ever since they made the ECF, I said they got to prove it to me. That was a fluke.
It was a fluke, but I can't hate on Trae for the numbers he put up. He put up some ridiculous numbers. He had some ridiculous games. I can't hate on him for doing it. The proof is in the pudding. Every time we sit there and talk about a player and what he's done, Trae actually has a resume that's better than Luka's as far as how far he's gotten, despite the fact that I think he was in a weaker conference. But can you even say that? Because he beat the Bucks.
I want you to do me a favor, dog.
They beat the Bucks.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look at Trae Young percentages versus Fred VanVleet percentages.
Oh, that's probably the same player, baby. You know I'm already through. Listen, I'm not sitting there saying Trae's my guy by any stretch of the imagination. Listen, I am not. But I know there's a huge bandwagon of people be like, Trae's this and Trae's that. I'm like, you know what? I can't hate on him. He got to an ECF. What am I supposed to say about it? We ain't been there since Jordan. Well, no, we ain't been there since. No,
Derek.
You know, trust.
Derek got to an ECF.
But that's 10 years ago.
It's a while ago. I'm not sitting here telling you it's all sunshine and roses, but
it's tough, man. Listen,
Trae Young ain't great.
We want to hear y'all comments, though, man. The whole conversation, man. We want to hear what you all got to say, whether it's love, whether it's hate for DJ, Zach, whatever. I mean, this is silly offseason at this point. We don't know what the heck is going to happen. Tomorrow, half the team might be up for sale. Jerry might sell the team over the summer. Who knows? So
I doubt it. There's been a lot of stupid stuff going on. He ain't selling that team.
Hey, man, till next time, we be in there with you all. Stay in tune for all the videos. Check out my man Pat on ESPN. Man, plug the show, man. Plug people. Tell them where to meet you at.
Tune in with us, man. I mean, I'm plugging the show like this ain't my show.
Plug the Bears show.
Tune in on the Chicago Bears podcast, man. Over on ESPN 1000, you can tune in to it on YouTube as well. Dropped the video today talking about Mike Vick and Justin Fields being together. What can Justin learn from Mike Vick?
Ooh, I like that one.
There was a joke coming, but I'm gonna leave it alone because.
All right, we're gonna end on that one. We holler at y'all.
Peace, man.